Hi, welcome to OnlineBookClub.org. If you're here because you like books, then you are the right place. I am Chinelo and I'll be interviewing Mr. Dan Hava, the author of The 36 Watchers, a fictional thriller inspired by the belief in Judaism that there are 36 righteous people in the world, and if not for them, all of them, the world would come to an end. Sounds really, really intriguing if you ask me. So I've prepared some interesting questions from Mr. Dan, but before we get into that, let's get to know him. Okay, let's get into it. Hi Dan, I'm really excited to have you here.
Thank you.
Okay, let's start with our protagonist, Jenna Berg. Jenna is a central character in your story, and reviewers have praised her spunky attitude and quest for knowledge. How did you approach developing her character, and what aspects of Jenna do you find most intriguing?
So the way I approach Jenna is the way I think about New York City. And it was very, very like this in my head. And also I have to say that I started to write Jenna basically on the 10-year anniversary of 9/11, 2001. I wrote Jenna the beginning of book one. I was in Tel Aviv. I was a guest in a nice hotel overlooking the beach, 11 stories high, starry night, balcony, me and a computer. I was thinking about it for a long time, but it materialized in my head, and it was September 2011, exactly 10 years later. And the way I thought about Jenna was the way I think about New York City before and after 9/11. Before 9/11, New York City is all bright, all action. And then 9/11 taught New York City a big lesson. Jenna is going through a similar process, and I really, really like how she can get serious and not so serious about certain things, and how she basically is a very positive person, and experiences that are difficult, like what New York City went through, they don't kill the positivity. They help improve it, along with opening her view to what the world is really like, which is what she's going through when she becomes a watcher. These are my thoughts about how Jenna character developed.
I am struck by the authentic portrayal of friendship between Jenna and Stephanie. Can you tell us the inspiration behind that dynamic? Did personal experiences or observed friendships inspire your depiction?
I think that the friendship between Jenna and Stephanie is inspired by television shows that I liked, books that I liked, but only inspirational initially, because when I started to write the characters, it took shape. Jenna became the character that's more bright and more daring, and Stephanie became the character that keeps her in check and sort of watches over her. And that dynamic sort of developed on its own. I didn't know where I was going. And like I told you before we started the interview, I like to improvise. So that improvisation took me in that direction.
It's a really good duo, the hot-headed friend and the cool-headed friend. It's perfect. Okay, let's talk about cultural influences. This story takes readers through various locations: Israel, the Gaza Strip, Tunisia. How did your personal connection to Jerusalem influence your portrayal of these places? And how important is cultural authenticity to you as an author?
Cultural authenticity is extremely important to me. I am very picky and critical when I consume culture, either in a movie or a television show or a book. And if things feel wrong, I get infuriated. So when I was writing, I did immense amount of research. On top of that, I am born and raised in Jerusalem, so I know the city very well. I did not spend time in Tunisia, but I did spend time in other places that are similar, and I did spend time in Gaza. So I have personal connections to most of the locations I write about. What I don't, I complement with research and talking to people that have been there. Being in Jerusalem, Jerusalem is the most spiritual city in the world. I'm not a religious person, but I'm very spiritual. And I grew within 3-4 kilometers from the Western Wall, from the Temple Mount, from the Church of the Nativity, all those places I could walk to. So that definitely influenced my outlook on life in general, and definitely comes into expression when I write.
If the 36 Watchers were adapted into a movie or a TV series, do you have any actress in mind who you think would embody Jenna?
Jenna is a tricky thing, because what I can answer to that is a young, I'm blanking on the name, who played Lara Croft? A young version of Angelina Jolie should play Jenna.
Okay, yeah, I see it. Good choice. Okay, if the 36 Watchers was chosen for a book club discussion, what questions would you hope readers ponder and explore?
I think that I would love discussion questions about what is reality and what is not reality in terms of myth, religion, and culture, what is true and what is not true. These are the questions that I approach in the book. And I had reviews from Online Book Club, reviews that and responses to reviews that I really loved, because they said this book is a lot of facts in it, so you learn a lot, but it is fiction and it is entertaining, so it gets you thinking. That kind of question, this kind of line of thinking, I would very much welcome and enjoy if it comes in a discussion, 100%.
As readers, we often create vivid images of characters while delving into a story. So I'm curious about your perspective as the author. The cover of the 36 Watchers features a captivating portrayal of Jenna. I personally love it. Did the Jenna on the cover of your book align with the mental image of Jenna you had, or is this a unique and intriguing portrayal by the cover artist?
I think that the Jenna on the cover of the book aligns pretty well with the Jenna that I had in my mind. Maybe some little things I would try to change there, but I did go quite a bit of back and forth with the artist that created the image. And I never met him. He's from Turkey. We met online in a website called Upwork, and he was very, very good. So at some point I felt that if I take it any further, it's going to start hurting and not helping. So if you ask me, if you press me very hard to come up with a number, I would say that Jenna on the cover is like 87.5% of Jenna in my head.
Okay, what would make it 100%? What would you change?
I think that the expression on her face should be a little more mischievous and a little less aggressive. And I try to convey that to the artist. So that was one thing. And the other thing is not Jenna herself, but in the background, there is a depiction of the evil power in my book. It's a little too naturalistic. I tried to get the artist to put a little more supernaturalistic aspects on it, but I had a hard time verbalizing the image in my head, which I have a hard time as well now. So all I can say is that I wanted it to be a little less like a lion and a little more like a lion monster. It didn't come out quite right, but it came pretty close.
If you could have a fictional authorial superpower, such as changing the weather in your narrative or jumping into the worlds you create, what would it be, and how would that impact your storytelling?
I had a natural superpower that would be time travel, because I adore history. I'm going to give you a spoiler now. It's not that big of a deal. It's fine. The last sentence of book 1 goes, Jenna smiled softly. History was her favorite subject. And that is response to what happened on the last chapter. I can say that. It's not big of a spoiler. Yeah. And that's me talk. That's my words in Jenna's character. So if you ask me what supernatural power I would have, time travel, because I adore history. History is my favorite thing ever. And a lot of it shows in the book series, because in book 1 and book 2, we haven't gotten there yet, but there's a lot of flashbacks. There's a lot of back and forth in time to many, many events. Some very global and very, everybody knows about it. Some are a little bit more obscure. But that would be my answer to that question.
Let's talk about challenges. Every project comes with its challenges. What was the most challenging aspect of writing the Thesis Watchers, and how did you overcome it?
Great question. The most challenging thing to do when you write a book that is along the lines of this book is writing action, sequences of action. Because if you write too little, you are slacking off. You do not make it a transition into the reader's mind. But if you write too much, you slow it down as well. So there's a very tricky balance in there. The way I deal with it, I don't know if you read about me, but I did a little bit of movie work too. So I'm familiar with some movie work.
Yeah.
So the way I deal with that, I close my eyes, I imagine the scene, and then I try to find the right amount of words to depict the scene. I also teach. I do a lot of teaching in real life. I teach music, and I always try to find a way to transmit the most information in the minimum amount of words. Not one too many, not one too less. That is the most challenging aspect for me, writing-wise, writing action scenes, action sequences.
The Thesis Watchers is a series with books already receiving a good number of positive reviews. Can you tell us what to expect from future installments and what you plan to explore further?
So, if you think about the Star Wars trilogy, the movies of Star Wars, the first one was Star Wars, and the second one is called The Empire Strikes Back, which in the universe of Star Wars is the evil power is fighting back. That is my plan for book 3. Because book 1, Jenna gets ready. Book 2, Jenna achieves a great victory. In book 3, the evil power is fighting back. And I still have to work it in my head exactly what the details would be and how it's going to go. But the main thrust of book 3 is like the Empire Strikes Back in Star Wars.
That sounds really interesting. Considering your background, I believe you have a desire to leave your mark, to be recognized. How does this influence your approach to writing and promoting your work?
Wow, and you're right. This is a very perceptive question. I do want to leave my mark because I believe I have something to say. I believe I have something to say based on who I am, how I was raised, where I grew up, my life experiences from growing up in Jerusalem, from serving in the military, from coming to New York City and fighting to survive, because New York City is a very, very difficult city to survive in, and from my outlook on life and my horizon of culture, of different cultures and different experiences and different strands of literature and history. So I do want to leave my mark because of all these reasons. And I searched long and hard for a vehicle to do that with. And the 36 Watchers is a great vehicle because I did not invent this. It exists. The 36 Watchers is a myth inside one strand of Judaism, and it exists for many thousands of years. People believed in the existence of the 36 Watchers for thousands of years. It's documented. The thing is that there's a lot of other things like this that were exploited in popular culture a lot, like Knights of the Round Table, like Knights Templar, like Freemasons, like a lot of other secret societies and the Grail and a lot of things. But nobody took that particular myth and put life into it the way I do, which is how I would like to leave my mark, with that vehicle.
Okay, good luck with that. You're already doing pretty well. I mean, what better way to leave your mark than writing books? Thank you very much, Dan. This was a really exciting interview. I wish you good luck.
Okay, well, thank you. You've made me feel very comfortable, and I love this question.
We've come to the end of our interview. If you like thrillers mixed with some mysticism, or you just like it when interesting facts are interwoven into a story, then you should check out The 36 Watchers by Hava. Check out our site, OnlineBookClub.org, if you want to be part of something grand made just for bookies like you. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you for watching this video. Bye.